Champions Cup this weekend, Saturday games, there were 5 of them. I've seen 3 of the games more or less in full. I've seen the highlights of the 2 that I kind of missed. But yeah, we'll go over some of the key events, some of the stats, where these teams are heading next week, and you guys can let me know your thoughts on the games. The first one I watched pretty much in full, Cardiff and Toulouse. Now, I had Cardiff and Toulouse and Leinster Bath going on separate screens at the same time. Rugby's a game where sometimes that's a bit much to watch carefully. Sometimes the games can be a bit stop-start. So you can kind of, when one game's having a stoppage for an injury or for a scrum, you can kind of put your eyes on the other one. You got to pick kind of commentary for one, though. I stuck to Cardiff and Toulouse after all. I switched off the Leinster and Bath game, not because the game was bad, but because Leinster started giving Bath a wee hiding. And I thought, I'll watch the game, which is a bit closer. And it wasn't supposed to be close, man. Toulouse, the reigning champions of this competition, got a World Player of the Year in their ranks. Stacked side against this bit of a hodgepodge side that Cardiff had to put together last minute based on a bunch of academy guys, fringe guys and whatnot, because you know they didn't have access to a lot of their first string guys. I think there's a wee bit of a moral victory here, to be honest. Toulouse will be pretty disappointed with the amount of errors they made. Their line out was certainly not firing. Just a lot of errors generally, but they did show a fair bit of respect to Cardiff. I mean, they were opting for threes early on. They took like a 6-0 lead before Cardiff actually got the opening try through Josh Adams. And you do have to give credit to the Cardiff crowd. They were very, very vocal. They knew what their team was up against in this one. I mean, playing Toulouse any time is hard enough, let alone without half your first string guys. So, I mean, they did a solid job. They got in front, 7 points to 6, but then Toulouse never really seemed to absolutely dominate, but they would just have moments of magic, and when they would pop out, there's not much you could do about it. Dupont was in the build-up to many of them with either a line break or a pass or getting the try himself, a step, beats a defender. Yeah, it's just tough. I mean, they get tries through Gelon, Aki, Dupont himself, BORvLEI and Tekori. So it's a bonus point win for Toulouse. So it maybe feels weird, me talking up the Cardiff guys, but bonus point win in this situation for Toulouse was probably a minimum requirement. So they did a little bit more than that. There were a bit of handbags. There was a red card at the end for Cardiff for kind of unintentional but high tackle from Beetham. But yeah, overall it was a pretty entertaining game, I thought. As I said, like a lot of respect shown from the Toulouse guys to be taking those threes. But Dupont, honestly, I don't mean to be kind of fanboy mode about him, but he's just very good. Like, he gets his own try from a Cardiff missed line out, gets a line break, beats a defender. His try assist for BORvLEI's one was like a box kick, cross kick that nobody saw coming. Yeah, he's just very good. He's just very good. What can I say? Jenkins was amazing as well, to be fair. He was real busy. He could have got a try of his own when he intercepted one of the Toulouse passes, but just didn't quite have the legs to get to the try line. I think he knew it was coming as well. He could see he wasn't quite going to make it. The anguish on his face was pretty brutal. But yeah, good game. Like, really fun game to watch, and I'm pretty happy for the Cardiff guys, despite the fact they got beaten. Toulouse do enough to look good without looking kind of spectacular. They got the magic in the bank, but they would be the first to admit they didn't put in kind of a full 80-minute shift. Maybe the Cardiff crowd had a part to play in that. But, either way, it's a bonus point win for them. Conditions were a bit tough at times, to be fair. It seemed a bit windy. Possession 50-50, run meters 421 to 521. So pretty fun game in terms of the guys chucking it around a bit. Toulouse, 35 defenders beaten. That was always going to be the case. That's a lot. 13 for Cardiff. Clean breaks 7-4 in Toulouse's favour. It's almost double, but it's not atrocious for Cardiff. That's respectable for sure. Penalties conceded 17-13, so Cardiff copping a few, especially at scrum time. Dupont, man, 129 run meters, has 3 clean breaks, like crazy. Toulouse has 7 clean breaks. He has 3 of them. That kind of shows you the impact he has. Seb Davis, 12 from 14 tackles. Fish and that other young winger, what's his name? Kabango? He had 50-plus run meters as well, which was more than the Toulouse guys had. So they were seeing some ball. It was pretty entertaining, but yeah. They almost got near a consolation try at the death of Cardiff, but couldn't quite get it done. So yeah, 39-7. Cardiff are away to Harlequins next week. Toulouse are home to Wasps. So yeah, there you go. I thought that one was a bit of fun. The next one, Leinster and Bath. Like I said, I watched the start. And when it became pretty obvious that Leinster were going to run away with it, I didn't know the result. I thought they may be going to get 60, 70 points here based on the initial scoring rate. I switched off. So I watched about the first, 20, 25 minutes before I put my attention fully on the Cardiff and Toulouse game. But there seems to have been a big patch at the end where Bath did okay. Like, to be honest, 45-20 for Bath, given Bath haven't had a single win in the Premiership against Leinster away from home, doesn't actually seem that bad. I'm pretty sure in this old Super Brew predictions pool, I predicted Bath to get beaten by more than 25 points. I thought it would be pretty nasty. So it's similar to that first one in that it's like, well, you got beaten 45-20. What can you be happy about? I don't know if you call it happy, but it's certainly respectable. For Leinster, it's a bonus point win. Heap of tries. I mean, Gibson Park gets 2, Furlong gets 1, Lowe gets 1, Keenan gets 1, Kelleher gets 1, Van der Fleer gets 1. Kelleher was just running riot. Oh my goodness. Like, he's just one of those proper, in open play, just a deadly guy, isn't he? Very fun hooker to watch. Some guys are like that, some of them are kind of more traditional, but the ones who like a wee carry and have got a bit of gas about them, pretty agile. Kelleher is certainly one of those guys. Bath, interestingly, were opting for the threes. Like, they seemed pretty happy to kind of keep the scoreboard ticking over. They actually had the lead briefly until the first try, which Lowe got. He showed some pretty good skill to force that one, to be fair. Like, good hands from Gibson. Oh, sorry, it was Gibson Park that got the first one. But Lowe was kind of on the interchange with him. So 5-3. And then, like, Furlong's one was just the forwards, too big, too strong, 12-3. Lowe's one, that was the one with the great hands from Keenan's pass on 17 minutes, 19-6. That might have been, did I keep watching a bit after that? I think I watched until the Carpenter yellow card. And then I was like, right, this game is pretty much done, because then Keenan got his try on 24. So at 24, I was like, right, this game is going to be a bloodbath. But maybe kind of not as bad as I thought, having watched the kind of opening stanza. There seemed to be no score between the Van der Fleer try on 57 minutes and then the 78th minute where Bath got the consolation one. And to be fair, they had to really work for the Van der Fleer one. There was a lot of phases through Leinster. It wasn't just like a really soft one. Like, some of the initial ones was just like Leinster were too slick and Bath maybe a bit soft at times, a bit slow to form the defensive line, which is hard to do against Leinster. But they made them work for it. So consolation try makes it 45-20. And again, you've been beaten pretty handily, but as I said, I still think there will be positives to take from that one as well. Be good experience in the bank for some of the younger guys too. Kelleher, I talked him up, man. 55 run meters, 2 clean breaks. Like, for a hooker, those are pretty solid numbers. Gibson Park, Ross Byrne, James Lowe each get a couple of try assists. Despite the yellow card, De Carpenter has 14 out of 15 tackles. Is it De Carpenter or De Carpentier? I can't remember. There's an I in his name somewhere. But yeah, man. Leinster territory, 65-35, man. Like, just dominant, aren't they? Clean breaks, 7-3. Defenders beaten 23-15 is not horrendous for Bath. Like, it's just, yeah, kind of... I don't know if Leinster got out of... maybe they started the game kind of in top gear and then cruised for a wee bit. Maybe Bath came into the game. You guys who watched the whole thing have to let me know. I didn't mean it as any kind of disrespect to switch off that game. I just thought I'll focus on the one which seemingly was a bit closer, because clearly Leinster were going to win it. But yeah, maybe I should have stuck around a bit longer. Anyway, what have Leinster got? Leinster have got Montpellier away next week. And I should say that Leinster jersey, the European one, oh my goodness, that's a fine looking jersey. Not all the jerseys were as fine looking. I mean, Bath's one was pretty slick as well. But that Leinster jersey is very, very nice. They had like gold and like kind of a darker blue pattern. Like, yeah, it's pretty slick. So, yeah, good stuff from them. The next one was Bordeaux and Leicester. I made sure to watch this one. Top team from France against top team from England. And it proved to be a pretty close one. Now, you might think, looking at the tries scored, one apiece, kind of not that much doing in this game. And there was a lot of kicking. It was clearly a tactic from Leicester, especially, to kick the ball and to keep it quickly. Like, a lot of quick throws to really tire out. I mean, there's always this kind of stereotype that you need to tire out the big French top 14 packs. but that seemed to be a thing. Some of the guys towards the end of the game seemed to be pretty knackered. And George Ford, especially early, was kicking the ball really well. He did kind of lose a bit of a kicking duel later on in the game. But yeah, I think the start of the game was pretty much all Leicester, and they maybe could have come away with more points than what they did. Poirot getting injured and going off didn't help Bordeaux's cause by any means. He's the captain. And at scrum time, they did give away a few. Plus, then Kane Douglas got yellow carded for a high tackle, which was one of those ones where it's head contact, but the carry, I think it was Chisholm, was dipping. So it's mitigated down to a yellow. I wrote Leicester as winning the kicking battle, and eventually they did get a try through it. Ford had he took the ball to the line, and then it was maybe a bit of a surprise because prior to that it had been he's going to grab it or he's going to put a dink through. Somehow he's going to kick it. But actually he took the ball to the line that time. Wokey kind of bit in, which left a bit of space, so Porter was able to go over. There was also a weird moment in this game. Well, I didn't know this about Bordeaux's ground, but the area around the advertising hoardings, at least on one side of the ground, has like a large kind of trench. It must be like 6 foot deep. And Harry Potter got a wee shove in the back. I think was it from Ben Lamb? And he just thought, oh, instead of trying to stop myself before going into the hoardings, I'll just jump over the advertising hoardings, which is what you've seen players do loads of times, right? But he obviously doesn't know that instead of just jumping over the hoardings to flat land, there's a 6 foot drop there. Concrete trench. He's okay, but bloody hell, that was a weird moment. You could see the look on the Bordeaux guy's faces like, oh my God, what have you done? He just hopped over the hoardings and down into the trench. Bizarre. I'm sure that's on social media. I haven't looked yet, but that was weird. Like, those guys should be surely given some kind of health and safety briefing. Maybe it's just in that moment. You know, you're so used to doing it, it's muscle memory. Get a shove. Okay, I'll jump. Bloody hell. Weird. I've never seen anything like that. Absolutely bizarre. I thought Bordeaux, to be fair, were guilty of quite a few errors. Their line-out wasn't straight. They were knocking it on from their own maul. Line-out, knock-on. But part of that is Leicester's pressure, to give them a bit of credit. But there was maybe a wee turning point because Salmaki ended up getting yellow carded when they put a cross kick through to him. And I was kind of hoping they keep the ball in hand at that point because Leicester were really in the ascendancy, but they put a cross kick through. Salmaki ends up taking out Bordeaux's fullback, and he gets yellow carded. So the pressure is kind of let off, and then Bordeaux are able to put on some pressure before halftime. It gets the crowd really into the game, and then they're able to get their try through Dubier right before halftime. So it goes into the sheds at 10 points apiece. As I said, a bit of a let off, but I mean Bordeaux did really well they got the extra space in the backs, so they executed kind of perfectly, which is not something we saw from all teams who have man advantage. Second half, there was a TMO call on a Leicester kick for a try, but there was a knock on in the build up, which was the right call because there was a hand into it. It was a weird one where there was a Bordeaux leg in there, and then there was a hand as well, but the officials, it slows the game down, but that's one of the ones where they made the right call. Ford missed a pretty kickable penalty, and then he kind of lost the kicking duel to, I think, did he kick out on the full? I know Bordeaux ended up kicking a penalty, so they actually went in front, so it's kind of first lead change for them. But Bordeaux missed the next penalty, and then Leicester were able to even things up with a penalty and then get one more from about 40 metres out. And they made no mistake. So, the game went right down to the death. But Leicester were able to hang on. So, it was pretty crazy. I think at one point, both Bordeaux's loose head props had gone off. So they had to play two tight heads. The Georgian guy had to switch sides. And they still managed to win a scrum penalty, which was pretty impressive. And they did have a chance, Bordeaux, to attack at the death. They opted not to take a 3. But Leicester's they competed the line out, they didn't win it, but then their maul held, Dweber peeled off, and they managed to kind of win a breakdown penalty. So good credit to Leicester to hold on. They were under the pump at the death, but so good shift. Tight game. Kicks from hand is huge. I mean, the run meters is 308 to 110, which is pretty low. A lot of teams get 400 per team. So you're looking at 800 a game. This was 308 to 110, so kind of pretty low. Kicks from hand, 55, 58. That's a lot of kicks. Like 30 something is usually high. 20 something is medium. And if teams are kicking in the teens, that's low. To have 100 kicks from hand is huge. Absolutely huge. Like Cardiff against Toulouse, for example, had 22-23 kicks from hand. This was 55-58. So there wasn't a heck of a lot of guys like getting 100 plus run meters this game. Ben Lamb had 68, which was the most. Tommy Raffel had 16 out of 17 tackles, which is a huge shift from him. But yeah, penalties conceded 14-9. Bordeaux at times on the wrong side of the ref's whistle. But yeah, good win for the Tigers, as I mentioned. So yeah, they are home to Connacht next, and Bordeaux are away to Scarlets, who remember haven't played because they forfeited their game with the whole COVID thing as well. Slight thing with the jerseys, on the really wide shots, it's not that easy to tell dark blue from green. Most of the time it doesn't matter. Close range shots, your eyes are quite, at least my eyes are quite able to pick them out, but just occasionally I feel like dark blue and green is a slight jersey clash. Just when your brain wants to peg on like how many attackers and how many defenders, you can't kind of tell at the instant glance, or maybe that's just me. But yeah, I've certainly seen worse in the way of jersey clashes. The next one, Clermont and Ulster. I didn't see this one in full. I watched the highlights, but it seems like it was a pretty good game. Ulster, massive away win, man. To go to Clermont and get a win seems, yeah, that's a big result. And they had a pretty good lead. They were 16-0 up after the McCloskey try on 25 minutes. That's a hell of a lead. My children must be pumped about that, I guess, Ulster fans. It was nice on the comms when they had Rory Best on there. That's phenomenal. I just like listening to that guy. Something about his voice is very soothing. Maybe that's just me again. But yeah, 16-0 penalties, and then the McCloskey try from close range. The forwards were gone close, but then McCloskey's the guy who goes over. Like that's a hell of a lead. But I mean, Pinot's tries, he gets 2 of them in this game, are proper magic. Like, this one is definitely worth going back to watch the highlights, if only to see the 2 Pinot tries. They are world class. The first one, the kick looked too deep, the cross kick. It's right into the back corner of the in-goal area, and he never grabs it. He just, as the ball's coming towards the ground, he just slaps it down at the same time. It is amazing. And then, yeah, he gets another one, which is a one-handed force from when he's kind of chasing through his own kick, and just same deal, just bats it down with his hand, like proper world-class tries. So yeah, like Pinot actually got them back in front, plus the goal kicking. After being 16-0 down, they had a lead of 20 points to 19. But there's a weird moment in this game, and I had to go back and watch the full version of the game just to watch this one incident where Timoney gets a try. Because, is it Lowry's making a line break, and then the fullback for Clermont kind of comes in from the side and goes for a tackle. It looks like an Ulster knock-on, but he's deemed to have knocked the ball down. Wayne Barnes is going to grab his whistle. Ulster keep playing on. They dot the ball down before he blows for the knock-on. And then on review, they decide, well, because he deliberately knocked it down, that's a penalty, that's advantage. And because they kept on playing and Timoney got the ball down, he forced it, so that's a try. It was weird. It was bizarre. I don't think I've ever seen something quite like that either, where they've blown the whistle and then gone back for a try which was scored before he blew the whistle. I don't know. It was just trying to get my head around it. Still, it was a bizarre one. I would have thought you'd go back for an Ulster penalty, but they gave the try. So, yeah, very bizarre. And a yellow card for Clermont. They have 2 in this game. So, yeah, tough. I mean, Clermont were chasing the game at the end. Doak had a nice intercept to shut down a move, but Clermont still managed to get a penalty at the death to at least walk away from the game with a losing bonus point. But to be fair, at home, that's a game you want to be winning, but that's a massive result for Ulster. It seems like it was entertaining one, man. Run meters 448 to 516. As I mentioned, the clean breaks 6-2, yellow cards 2-0 for Clermont, so they're not a good stat. But penalties conceded 9-8, so pretty low. in terms of the amount of times Wayne Barnes had to blow his whistle. Raka has 101 run meters, 2 clean breaks. Hume has 104 run meters, makes 9 from 9 tackles, so some proper shifts in this game from the backs. Aturia has 17 out of 18 tackles, so yeah, it seemed like a pretty crazy one. I might have to go back and watch that one because it seems like a bit of madness. Absolutely. And maybe just to hear a bit more Rory Best. But there you go. Clermont are away to Sale next. Ulster are at home to Northampton. So we'll see how they go. And the final one, I did watch this one because it was on last. And that's kind of at a really nice time for us over here in New Zealand. Late morning game. Late morning. 8:55, 9 o'clock in the morning. Exeter against Montpellier. Some people confirmed for me my suspicions that this was not Montpellier's strongest lineup. And sure enough, 42-6, it absolutely seems like it. But if you look at the timings of these tries, a lot of them are in the second half. First half comes to an end, it's 7 points to 6. It's just a point in it at halftime. So Montpellier are really doing quite well. They opened the scoring with a couple of penalties. So, yeah, Exeter struggled with the breakdown a wee bit early. Their scrum was getting pinged a wee bit. There was a moment, weird, again, I'm talking about moments where you don't see very often. The Montpellier guys got marched seemingly for making a face at the ref. The ref said, "Don't snigger at me." I don't think he said anything. But, yeah, the ref marched them 10 for that after a scrum penalty decision. So, yeah, bizarre. Hogg got the first try of the game for Exeter. It was a proper nice one. Bit of a thing of brilliance after a heap of Exeter pressure, to be fair. They'd gone through a heap of phases. But Hogg is your man to beat some tacklers. And then second half, it's a bit of a rout. You get Johnny Gray getting a hat-trick within 20 minutes. 42, 53 and 61. His tries all from close range. And then Sam Simmons gets one. Armand gets one in the kind of final 10 minutes to absolutely make it a blowout. So it's a big bonus point win in that second half. Noel was everywhere. Like kick return, putting little kicks through. Like Noel was phenomenal as well. Probably the star of the show. Although Johnny Gray gets kind of the man of the match for those 3 tries, but Noel was absolutely getting through some work. So, yeah, relentless stuff from Exeter in that second half. One of those, the hat-trick try was one of those weird ones where the referee had seen the try. They'd seen a grounding and the TMO couldn't find nothing on the camera angle. So, yeah, possession 61-39, territory 57-43, so pretty dominant for Exeter. Clean breaks 4-zip, run meters 394 to 145. Montpellier have to make 216 tackles to Exeter's 98. So, yeah, like I said, pretty lopsided performance. Exeter, interestingly, had a heap of players, like forwards and backs, with like 30-plus run meters. Where there's no like one guy who gets 100 of the run meters. It's a real team shift from them. Montpellier's locks both had 20 tackles each, so that's also a bit of a shift. Montpellier home to Leinster. Tough job. Exeter are away to Glasgow. I liked the Leinster jersey. I wasn't that keen on the Exeter one, to be honest. I know they've done some interesting colour schemes. The old Exeter European jersey, the purple one I've got from when they won it. That was I liked that one, but this kind of like turquoise looking one, not as keen. But anyway, interesting few games. Yeah, I guess the results were maybe a little less expected. Like I don't know if Leicester or Ulster were kind of favoured. I think they were both underdogs going into that one, but them winning is certainly not a shock. If Cardiff or Bath had won, that would have been a shock, but they both got handily beaten, but can still, I think, find reasons to hold their heads high in those losses. And then Montpellier's B team, you know what I mean? Like Montpellier, without some of their frontline players, got pretty handily beaten, especially in that second half. But first half performance, there was certainly some stuff to be pleased about. But anyway, you guys let me know your thoughts, and I will talk to you guys again soon. See you later.